will never shine clean. Alma Mater, we hail. God give the earth and great success. With truth and love will conquer all. For God, a land and SF land. Alma Mater, we hail. God give the earth and great success. With truth and love will conquer all. For God, a land and SF land. With truth and love, let us unite and be to our glorious college name. High on the hill, a beacon light is she, leading our children on to faith. March on to glory is a message bold, spreading truth and love far and wide. Loyal to the hands who reigns of guidance, teacher and pupil side by side. Alma Mater, we hail. God give the earth and great success. With truth and love will conquer all. For God our land and SF. Alma Mater, we hail. God give the earth and great success. With truth and love will conquer all. For God our land and SF.
A very good evening and a very good morning as well to everyone present on this platform. I, Mrs. Sonika Hilson, your host for the day, on behalf of the management and principal, Dr. Katie Thomas of St. Francis de Sales College, Nagpur, Maharashtra, and the entire organizing committee, take this opportunity to welcome our distinguished chief guest, our learned and scholarly speakers, our participants, and everyone else present with us today to the first day of the 4-day International Conference and Symposium on Indian and Global Opportunities in the Sciences and Humanities, a Critical Discourse. St. Francis de Sales College is situated in the heart of central India and is one of the pioneer institutions in the city, imparting knowledge and wisdom to people irrespective of religion and culture. With a motto of truth and love, SFS College has always made its students face the challenges with dignity and courage and have stood successful in the test of times. Situated in the lush green seminary hills of Nagpur, its surreal atmosphere makes it one of its kind, providing a clean and green atmosphere and air to breathe in, the concrete jungles that we are so used to living in. It thus makes learning and developing cognitive thinking all the more easy and accessible. As we all know, for many conferences in the past, St. Francis de Sales College has many a times successfully collaborated with University Go Global, an organization providing world-class quality education to students, schools, and universities globally. This conference is yet another brainchild of a collaborative association of St. Francis de Sales College, Nagpur, with University Go Global, USA, India, Africa, and Middle East. This conference aims to share knowledge and the many strategies of current and emerging trends in education, as well as the role of sciences and humanities in human development and its contributions to today's contemporary society. With the mindset that humanities and social sciences are only for those people who fail to show intellect, or for those people who are not hardworking, or for that matter, for those people who fail to procure admissions in the leading courses of medicine and engineering. With time, the perspectives have changed, and today, humanities and social sciences are promising disciplines which offer variety of career opportunities. Corporates, private and public sectors are more inclined towards hiring these graduates as they showcase a blend of well rounded professionalism, optimal knowledge, skills, and competencies, and have a diverse understanding of human behavior and with awareness about social, cultural, and economic values. So, to venture into a human capital involved in humanities and social sciences, this conference desires to facilitate and make aware all its participants from across the globe about the scope and future prospects of these fields. To inaugurate this conference, we are privileged to have His Grace Most Reverend Elias Gonzalez, Archbishop of Nagpur and Chairman of SFS College, with us as our chief guest. I would now like to request Father Praveen D'Souza, Head of the Department Philosophy, SFS College, to welcome and introduce our chief guest. Over to you, Father.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, Father.
Yes. Hello, everyone. This is Father Praveen D'Souza from the Department of Philosophy, SFS College, Nagpur. It's my privilege to introduce Most Reverend Elias Gonzalez, Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Nagpur, who is also the chairman of SFS College Society. His Grace takes keen interest in the overall development of the schools and our college under his care. His Grace has initiated many social outreach programs for the marginalized in these pandemic times. His Grace was installed as the Metropolitan Archbishop of Nagpur in January 2019. He has been in charge of Catholic education in Western Region Catholic Bishop Council, comprising of Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Goa. He was instrumental in forming Western Region Catholic Foundation for Education as registered company under Companies Act 2013. He is promoter of education on family values online program for Western Region Catholic schools. A hearty welcome to you, dear Archbishop Ji. I'm just keeping the introduction a bit short, and we are really eager to hear you a international conference and symposium on Indian and global opportunities in the sciences and humanities, a critical discourse. Over to you, Archbishop Ji.
Thank you, Father Praveen, for beautiful introduction, and thanks for your welcome. Dear friends, sorry for inconvenience because I was putting on my computer and it so happened it started updating the laptops. You know, this technological world can anytime make you completely dependent on it, but there are other options. That's why I use this mobile. I hope I'm audible to you. But once again, I welcome all of you for this important webinar. And I wish everyone good evening and good morning. My dear participants, it is indeed a pleasure to welcome you all to this 4-day online gathering to critically discuss and analyze the Indian and global opportunities in sciences and humanities. We are aware of the importance of science in making things work, discovering and inventions by brilliant scientific minds have led to this wonderful development that we see today. I'm sure that science will further strengthen this development manifold at an increasingly faster pace. Today, while we are in this pandemic time, and my dear friends, we are very well aware how even during this time when we were locked down, we were in our homes, but the world continued to function because of the development of science and technology. This online webinars became a kind of an instrument where it connected one another. We continued to relate with one another, and that gave hope to many people who were behind the four walls. And that's where this technology helped us. My dear friends, let us now give a thought to how these marvels of science work. A surgeon performs a complex surgery. A pilot files an aircraft. A factory worker operates machinery. And an operator digs up the earth with a JCB machine. Though all these requires expertise and skills that is acquired by scientific training. In every field today, we all need more and more training, updating, upgrading, and upskilling. We are talking here on human beings. It is here, friends, that the discipline of humanities makes its appearance. We live in a society, and interaction is a constant process. Be it verbal, behavioral, or financial, these aspects apply to all strata of society and to people from all professions and all walks of life. To manage this interaction today and on webinars like this, we need humanities, an entire discipline. It focuses on language, culture, social aspects, and soft skills, commercial give and take. This world has become a global village where we are connecting with each other, associating with each other. With a blossoming population, this give and take also needs to be a smooth process. Many organizations and multinational companies now rely not only on scientific aptitude, but the ability to give strong and positive relationships, thought processes, social interactions, and communications for a flawless work culture. These are taught by humanities. I leave further elaborations of these points to the experts in today's this webinar. The resource persons are eminent and they are scholars in their own fields. I know they will surely do justice to their subtopics. On behalf of the management and staff of St. Francis de Sales College, I once again welcome you all, one and all, and wish you all the best for this 4-day program, which I'm sure will be full of churning of thoughts and will result into many new insights. I wish all the eminent speakers, all the participants, all the best. May God bless all of you, and may all of you enjoy this 4 days workshop together, and surely that will help us to build our nation, a great nation. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, dear Archbishop Ji, for sharing succinctly but clearly your thoughts on the topic of this 4-day international conference and symposium on Indian and global opportunities in the sciences and humanities, a critical discourse. His Grace always inspires and motivates us with his words of encouragement and depth. Once again, I would like to place on record our indebtedness to you, Your Grace, for gracing this occasion and sharing your valuable thoughts. Now I hand over the proceedings to Sonika ma'am. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you.
Thank you, Father. It is indeed an honor for us to have His Grace inaugurate this conference. His benevolent presence and prayers are always with our institution. So now, to begin with our today's first session, we have with us Dr. Menino Allen Tavares, Conservation Acoustics and Peace Leadership from Goa. A person is often bound by certain limitations of time, health, and age. But for Dr. Menino Tavares, it can literally be said that the sky is the limit. With a life objective of inspiring kindness and joyful living on this livable planet Earth, he is a graduate and a postgraduate in physics, along with a degree in theology and a doctoral degree in physics with specialization in acoustical studies of worship spaces. Dr. Tavares has been conferred with many awards, fellowships, and grants for his impeccable work in the field of acoustics, to present papers, to promote acoustics in India, and also procured a travel grant to promote academic tourism in USA. Dr. Tavares has had a commendable heritage of administrative work experience. He is the founder of CEDRIS, SFS College, Nagpur, the founder of Shubh Sandesh Kala Kendra, Jharkhand. He has held quite a variety of roles, be it a conservational head, a joint secretary, administrator, director of education, principal, and a founder of a number of organizations. With the rich experience of more than 25 years, he has taught in Maharashtra, Arunachal Pradesh, and Goa. True to his life objective of instilling kindness and joyful living among people, he has pioneered many ventures like Creative Vision, Shalom, Agape, India Peace Concert, Olinda, and the list is endless. He has published more than 16 research papers in international and national journals. It is indeed an honor to have such a magnanimous personality with us. I'm sure his deliberations will bring forth new perspectives into our session. So I now humbly request Dr. Menino Allen Tavares to speak on the topic, skilling graduating students to make a diversity statement of global relevance. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sonika. Thank you for the kind words. Am I audible to Sonika? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very much.
Okay. So this talk of the diversity statement, let me get straight to why I thought of the diversity statement as a very important tool and a very important requisite today by most of the employers and the universities. So just to understand that, before I start with my topic, I'll take you straight across the diversity search. So my presentation, I think, is still not, my screen is not visible, right?
Yeah, no, sir, it has still not come.
Yeah. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, so if you just search for diversity statement examples on the internet, what we will be finding is a quite elaborate literature. And of course, now it gets a little more commercial in understanding the importance, because it is important for students and for anyone to make a diversity statement today. Okay, so that's why purposely scrolling to understand that this is a topic which is pretty ignored, but which our students, especially our graduating students, will have to be equipped with in the future. That was just to tell you, if you're on the internet, you will find a lot of explanation about the diversity statement. Let me go to my presentation now, proper. So that's the topic, skilling graduating students. This comes with a little bit of an experience with our students, the undergraduate students, and the syllabus that we try to cover for them. And then we realized that there is more to the syllabus. And that's where I remember when we started CREST in SFS College, CIDRES in SFS College, one of the main objective was how do we place our students on this spiral of dependence to independence to interdependence based on, and I remember we doing workshops for our students and even for our neighboring college students on the 7 Habits by Stephen Covey. And as we were reflecting on that, we would also have as a reference of Catholic education. And if you look at the mission statement of our Catholic education, it was coined very succinctly and very with a deep thought that we are to provide an education of quality and relevance. Quality and relevance. 2, of course, we added further that it is to Catholics and to the marginalized. So what is this diversity statement about? I would put it into the realm of the education of relevance that we have to give to our students. So to understand diversity statement, therefore, I need to understand some basic skills that come as foundational skills. As I wrote, the foundational skills that maketh my diversity statement. It would have been ideal if our mentors, our teachers, would guide our students to be able to frame the life objective, the mission statement, and a vision statement. And I know when I was a student and I was trying to frame this, it was pretty raw. So if I look back into my diaries and I check my mission statement, and I check my mission statement now, it has evolved. Your life experience brings facets to it. But the fact of making a mission statement, framing your life objective, doing a vision statement, I think are foundational skills. So I purposely put my life objective, mission statement, and vision statement here for us to understand that we all have a very unique and maybe matching in some regard. But what is important is not the statement. It is a conviction which is crystallized in a statement. And this capacity building is very, very important as part of our mentorship. And this is what, therefore, we allow our students to frame. I wrote their life objective through SSS. One simple practice that, in fact, helped me in my own pursuit and search for life objective, and which I have been trying to do as my first 5 minutes in a classroom wherever I had an opportunity, may it be for school or college or for postgraduate students or for workshops, is SSS. Simply means we lead them through an awareness, solitude, leading to silence of body, mind, heart, and spirit. And therein, the silence, the deep silence, we're reaching a state of stillness. And as the psalmist says, be still and know I'm God. Even if you don't believe in God, in that stillness, you come to the core of your being and you discover something beyond yourself, something almighty, living experience to the fullest. And this skill is important. You cannot just say it's an academic exercise. You cannot write your life objective as an academic exercise. And therefore, this tool of solitude, silence, and stillness as a classroom exercise allows our children to become introspective, retrospective. They are able to look with clarity of vision into the future. So though my life objective may sound very simple, as I said, it's a conviction that gets stronger and stronger. And though the statement may look like a platitude, but the statement expresses my experience of the past, my yearning for the future. Mission statement comes as a little more technical statement. It involves my areas of expertise. It involves my areas of deeper awareness, and it involves my connection with the world. And therefore, like I have put in mind, through awareness, physical and metaphysical, and skills of peace leadership, acoustics, soundscaping, conservation. Now, these are my skills that I have developed over time. We each one have our own skills which we develop. What do I want to do with them? I want to preserve, restore, promote, revitalizing spaces and species. Now, for me, revitalizing spaces and species is the passion of the day, is the passion of this decade. I just celebrated my 50th birthday and I told myself, this is my objective of the 50s. And my earlier decades were more to worship spaces, and I've thought now worship space is one of the revitalizing spaces. So right now we are exploring all the other spaces in rural areas like the hilltops, the sacred groves, the caves, the seashores, the rivers, the khazans, and maybe even a village house. All these are revitalizing spaces. Now my mission statement, therefore, is looking at what I am in pursuit and what I wish to achieve. Not just spaces, species as well. And I've written species because human beings are just one of the species. We are not rulers over the others. We survive as long as the rest of the species survive. And therefore, a harmony, a cosmic harmony, as diverse expressions and experiences of the divine. So this is a mission statement. It sums up everything. For me, I think our students need to be led into this journey, or rather, we should at least begin with a journey of their being able to frame a mission statement. And then comes a vision statement. Vision statement, many people confuse with mission statement. Of course, I will not elaborate too much over here because these are all technical, it's a technical jargon in itself. But vision statement, just to keep it short, is what do you foresee happening in the world through your mission statement? What I foresee is cosmic family of all species living joyfully in a livable universe. This is what I want to see, and this is what I am saying. These I've just put it from my perspective so that it becomes a little practical for us to understand that each student, if led through this exercise, begin a solid foundation of making a diversity statement. So diversity statement, on the right side, I have put my diversity statement. On the left of me, I've got what are the ingredients of this diversity statement. The first important thing is I need to identify my diverse roles that I play. When I talk about diverse roles, I would say my physical roles and metaphysical roles. Now, as a physical role, for anyone, you are a child in a family, or you are a parent in a family, or you are a spouse in a family, or you have a job, maybe now as a teacher, as a researcher, or maybe you're part of some organization, or you are a neighbor to somebody. These are all the roles we play in our physical world. In these physical roles, we also evolve and grow to understand our metaphysical roles. And therefore, if you look at the first part of the diversity statement, I have put in my metaphysical roles. I see myself as a sage, as a shepherd, as a servant, as a steward, as a soulmate, as a scientist. These are the roles which are, for me, metaphysical roles in the different roles that I play in my world. Diversity statement has to have a statement of our diverse roles that we play in society, in the world. The second part is my diversity statement obviously should be connected to my mission statement, my life objective, and my vision statement, which I showed as foundational, as the foundation skills of training. And therefore, that's my identity in my diversity, my connection with a mission statement. And therefore, I have written over there as the second para, it is my intent to explore and share divine experiences and insights with all species. Now, I use the word divine because that's for me my connection with my priesthood and my world of science. Anyone may have their own, which I would call as very subtle, sublime, transcendent experiences. We all have our transcendent experiences. It is important that we make an intent to sort of experience and express it with all species. The third is my diverse tasks. And the different tasks that come in the diversity statement is, it's my research that I'm involved in, my work that I do, maybe for my living, the mentorship that I provide to different segments, maybe even as a parent to your child, or a teacher to your student, or to someone who is assistant to you. So the mentorship and guide, which goes sometimes together, and service that I do, my community service, my service to humanity. Okay, and I make a statement there, and when I make a statement, I should be convinced of it, that I serve my fellow human beings from all diverse backgrounds and perspectives. And finally, it is an expression of respecting diversity as a value. And therefore, it is related to plans and strategies. And therefore, the last part of it is my intent to view each person's diversity. And again, I should be convinced, not just right, if they come from different age, from different gender, different sexuality, from disability, status, class, ethnicity, religions, beliefs, race, culture, etc., that all these forms of diversity that I am engaged with, I view it, as I write for myself, as a blessing. And therefore, all my plans and strategies that I make should be respectful of the diversity. Now, this is an example of my diversity statement. It's a summary statement. We have to understand that as ingredients, there has to be commitments, capabilities, and clear plans. It has to advance the value system of inclusive excellence, not exclusive, inclusive excellence, diversity and equity. It has to be via my job, my research, my mentorship and service. Then it is holistic. If I'm just doing it in one area, neglecting the other areas, is some sickness in the air. My understanding of barriers, I should understand what are the barriers that keep some groups as underrepresented or marginalized. And therefore, when the church says, I want to provide an education of quality and relevance to the marginalized, the church makes expression of its conviction that we know, we understand the barriers. That's why I was very happy to hear His Grace, as Pravin said, doing these outreach programs for the marginalized. Because when you go there in the field, live with people, that's where you understand barriers. And third, experiences that meet the needs of a diverse population. Our experiences are very, very important. Very, very important. You know, and that's why many people say that good judgment comes from, experience. Okay, I'm missing it. I'm missing my link. It's like normally people say you have a good judgment that finally comes from a lot of experience of bad judgment. You know, so these are ingredients. Well, I look at now the 4 areas. First is my diverse, and when I'm writing the statement of, I'm saying that we are training our graduating students to write a diversity statement. It's a bit of a soul-searching exercise for us as teachers, as academicians, as mentors. And I think I therefore would like to answer this question for myself. Because if I'm doing it, then I don't have to do much to train my students. If I don't have it, then I can't be training them. And therefore, this part of the exercise which comes now is more for us who are in this leadership roles of whether we have the ingredients of a diversity statement, starting with research and scholarship. And therefore, my first statement is my RS, that is research and scholarship, directly addresses issues of diversity, inclusion, and equity. Right? So I should be, when I say directly addresses, can I mention some issues where I practice diversity, inclusion, and equity? Okay, and therefore, like I put in just a few things about myself. That was the reason why, I wanted to sort of romance with priesthood and science. I had to take a break, in fact, from my studies, and many thought I'm leaving the seminary. I took a break. I came to Nagpur, did my post-graduation, and then again I went ahead and when I was trying to understand, I'm pursuing priesthood and I'm also pursuing science. How do I bring these diverse elements of understanding together? And that's where I brought in this element of worship space acoustics as one area which was passionate to me, and wherein my priesthood and my science comes in an interplay. And then again, I was not wanting to do just about churches. Therefore, it was about worship spaces, to bring in the rich diversity of worship spaces that my country has. And thus, over these years, we have worked on the Buddhist spaces, like from the Bomdila monasteries in Arunachal. We have worked with the Kutambalams of the temples of the south, and of course with the churches of Goa and elsewhere. And now when I'm looking at revitalizing spaces, again, therefore it's going a little beyond and sort of trying to embrace a larger experience of the divine, moving out of the spaces which are enclosed into the world of the cosmic inspiration. And therefore, also me, and I'm always glad and I'm grateful to Father Job, who has always been my inspiration of how we could bring in science and religion together. And that was one of the reasons we started SIDRES in SFS College. So diversity, inclusion, and equity has to be practiced. It cannot be taught to our students if we don't practice it. Second, my research and scholarship addresses issues specific to marginalized and minority groups. It's very important that I do have in my domain of research and scholarship things which address issues specific to the marginalized. And therefore, like for me, for example, to pick a few things so that it may inspire to understand how we pick river biodiversity. Because our rivers are today flooded in Goa with heavy trawlers, bull trawlers as they call them, and they finish the river biodiversity. Can I pick that issue? So that's like the issue that we pick. Churches, Buddhist spaces, sacred groves, revitalizing spaces, revising some old traditional sciences like land restoration. So I have to use my research to pick up what is left as marginalized, as no longer useful, and restore its value. Third, my research and scholarship is scholarly shared and involves collaboration with diverse groups. If I'm just doing my research and keeping it to myself, then it's injustice. And therefore, I have to have my papers in journals, in proceedings. We have to train our students. We at undergraduate level also have in the final year a dissertation that we make students write. And when we give them a topic, first of all, make sure that it's original, make sure that it has an impact on society, and make sure that we publish at least 2 papers along with students so that you also give them excellence as a achieving bar. That's not just a requirement for the exam, but when they write papers, you are giving them a sense of self-respect that I've done scholarly research and I've shared it to a larger audience. Therefore, we've got to be part of forums, part of Google, part of academia, part of ResearchGate, part of LinkedIn, because that's where I am forced to be at some level of sharing, scholarly sharing. It involves collaboration with persons of diverse backgrounds. We cannot have any anymore that ghetto mentality. And therefore, my diversity statement has to state all these factors. It has to state. Then comes mentorship. I should be able to say in my diversity statement that I have worked in mentorship or advisory capacity with students from marginalized groups. I don't want to give anyone an impression that I'm only talking about marginalized groups. Well, our own organizational groups that we are very cozy with is easy to work with. And if I am a recruiter, I will take it as very normal. But if you have been working with marginalized groups, I will note it. What you have written is noteworthy for me. Right? And therefore, like when I came, a small experiment that I myself did, when I came from my experience as a missionary from Arunachal back to Goa in 2011, I was there in a school as a principal of a school. I thought that if something is missing, if I have only been successfully involved in getting my students pass out with distinction or whatever in the 10th standard, I was wanting to know, where do the students go 10 years from now? And God gave me an opportunity when some of the parents called me up, some of their difficult children, they would not listen to the parents. So they said, can something be done? And so I had some of the students coming to Goa, and I called it as Vision Goa, Mission China, because of the border, Arunachal, the border with China. I wanted to end this hostility as my sort of vision for the future. And then Goa was gospel opportunities for Arunachal Pradesh. And as I look back in this 10 years, many of this, about 20 children from that batch of 2010 of mine that passed out. Today, it's joyful to know that so many of them, in fact, each one of them has gone out as entrepreneurs and leaders in different capacities. It's a joy when, mentorship brings joy. Maybe teaching brings only a fattened salary with a 7-pay commission. And I think as teachers, we need to uphold a vocation of teaching through mentorship. Mentorship of our even marginalized students in the class, those with the inferiority complexes, those who don't open up. Because that is where, as students, we understand the importance of taking everybody in the fold. Then second, can I write things like I help students from diverse backgrounds to identify and overcome barriers to success? Okay. Do I have concrete examples? And therefore, I have put in my last, say, 2-3 decades of life as a pastor, what opportunities I could avail of. And we have to be grateful to God, because in our different roles, God gives us so many opportunities. I should just have the willingness to help students from diverse backgrounds to identify and overcome barriers. That's our leadership role. As an academic administrator, or as a conservation researcher or scientist, I don't want to list them. But when I'm writing a diversity statement, I have to list how I have helped in each of the roles. I have to have concrete examples. And finally, I have future plans to recruit, retain, mentor students from marginalized and underrepresented groups. It's not enough to just talk about what I'm doing. To show that I am progressing and that I am joyful about what I'm doing, I should be able to write down what are my plans for the future. Like my plans about Olinda Goa, as I call it, in my mother's memory. It's a foundation for the conservation of living heritage and for peace leadership. So I have an International Center for Acoustics and Soundscaping of Revitalizing Spaces, ICSRS, and International Center for Peace Leadership. And these plans are important, because if I don't have plans, I don't have targets, I don't achieve things for myself and the role I play in humanity, I stagnate. And that's not good for health. And then comes my diversity statement in my job. Whatever job that I do as a academic staff or as a MTS or as a non-academic, whatever role I play is important. And therefore, I should be able to say that I have a plan and that I have executed the following: create a welcoming and inclusive atmosphere. If I want to really train students to write a diversity statement, I should be first creating a welcoming and inclusive atmosphere in my class. I should ensure sense of belonging in the group. I should be able to facilitate dialogue, not just a chat with those who are comfortable to talk to, but a dialogue with every student. Create opportunities and engagement. Opportunity creation is important, not just passing of old dusted notes that you pass on every year. I should burn the notes after finishing one academic year and create another opportunity for myself and my students. That's where engagement comes with inspiration. Encourage and celebrate diverse perspectives, maybe even from my staff. Feel good to be challenged. Maybe you have a other colleague who's challenging you as different ways. Feel good, because that pushes me to build up my self-respect from within, rather than become a narcissist or a Machiavellianistic person. And finally, therefore, synergize. Synergize always comes when I synergize, that is, bring the best of myself on the table. And when each one brings the best of each one, that's where the teachers inspire our students, then it's fun. That's where you show how you have done each of these things in your diversity statement, in your job. Finally comes my diversity statement in my community service. I should be able to say and document that I participated in community service activities. You should be able to say what are those activities in which you volunteered, which you participated, which you led as a leader. I should be able to say I have learned and developed some skills through this community service and exposure. Mention the skills. Like for me, honestly speaking, it's this exposure which was interpersonal, cross-cultural, has taught me humility to understand that every tradition is so rich. And when, I want to share with you, when I met Professor Leo Baranek at the 2007 International Congress on Acoustics in Madrid, and he was 93 that time. And we grew up reading Leo Baranek and concert acoustics. And I was like, not knowing whether I should go and meet him or not. I just walked up to him. I wrote on my sheet of paper, when is my session, in which room? And I just said, sir, I'm glad, I'm honored to meet you. I read your books, and I feel I will be privileged if you can come and attend my session. And I just gave him the chit. I was shocked, actually, 3 days later, when he was right on the front bench. And then he comes to me and he says to me, Alan, are you going for the Congress dinner? I said, no, sir, I have not enrolled myself because, I'm a student, I couldn't pay for it. And then he tells the organizer, he's my guest, and he takes me for the Congress dinner. He spends about half an hour of the quality time of the Congress dinner to just share with me some of his early experiences. That's where you learn humility. When you are allowing yourself to come into an exposure, when you allow yourself to present what you think is valuable to society and you wish to present it, that's where you learn communication. I learned humor in this, when to laugh at myself, when you meet people who laugh at themselves rather than being so touchy and proud. So we learn so many things. And I should be able to mention what I learned. Third, I incorporate my community service experience into my job. How do I do it? With that experience, I should be able to enhance the existing ventures that I'm part of. And very, very important, I should be able to create and mention what I created in my diversity statement, that I've created this following new character-defining initiatives in the society. So that's where, if I have to mention few things like Seed Rice, Crest, Shubh Sandesh was nothing, but was a gift of God in terms of an experience. And I thought I should give it back to the community by and through these initiatives. So my concluding remarks would be that diversity statement, when I can write a diversity statement, I actually make a strong, convinced expression of value and respect to every species, to every space, every tradition that exists in the world. It comes only through, as I would say, through solitude, silence, and stillness. And AHC is through deep awareness, very deep awareness, a harmony with everybody, living in harmony, and finally, a compassion, a sense of compassion. Compassion cannot be created, it comes from within. And finally, I want to say something. Diversity statement is very easy for us Indians to make if we could value every experience that we can be part of in such a pluriverse of a world. We are a pluriverse. Just if you are sincere enough to have a true experience, we can make a very strong diversity statement. To wind up, I would say, let's start writing our diversity statement. Let's bring it all together. It's like writing a valuable part of yourself to inspire a generation that is given to us by God. Thank you very much. Hello?
Yes, Father.
Yes. I think I'm done with my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tavares. It is indeed one thing to speak on
the creativity and the changing landscape and different realities coming to the fore is that hiring managers at some of the biggest tech companies, for example, Uber, they are picking up psychology majors to deal with unhappy riders because the tech people couldn't do that. So this new trend, subtly humanities, the value of humanities is being realized. Open Table is possibly a large food or restaurant kind of business of chain. They were hiring English majors to communicate about what data could do for their restaurants. Dr. Abdullah, any thoughts on the sudden change in mind?
Absolutely, Dr. D'Souza. Being myself working with one of the big Silicon Valley organization, I live that experience every day. Tech people are very smart indeed, and they do the job assigned to them perfectly. But you need somebody there to raise the concern. As some business people, they start the product or the project by writing a business case, trying to identify the loops and the areas for improvement. And that needs somebody who understands the heart of the problem or the business problem itself and craft it and present it to the leadership to buy their acceptance before they turn it into a story or requirements and move it to the tech people. So this is really happening in real life every day. And the necessary and the role that being played by graduates of humanities and arts and science are growing, and it is needed badly every day to complete the role of the technical people as well.
Excellent. Yeah. So science graduates, graduates in humanities can complement the technology gurus and experts. It's about time that people from these disciplines really start believing in themselves and the new opportunities that are surfacing. So coming to the next slide, I take this example of on the right corner, upper right corner, you see this confident businesswoman presenting quarterly progress. Now, obviously, if she is to communicate with her audience, she has to be very proficient in explaining the data, the graphs, and that's what I would encourage even from the humanities to understand the different elements of data and be able to explain and communicate to the audience. I think the humanities are better equipped than most people because of their real being embedded in understanding the arts and in the arts and so on. So that's a lesson that you can be an arts graduate or graduate of the humanities and the sciences And the more knowledgeable you are, it exponentially increases your ability to engage with audiences. Now, I want to show that all these are connected. And I'm turning to literature. And I think the point is that we should engage in a holistic kind of understanding of knowledge and skills, and develop learning has to be ongoing and continuous. So I'm citing something from literature, from Ralph Waldo Emerson, who lived during the 1800s, and that period was known as in literature we have different periods. The Elizabethan era, Shakespeare and all those people lived during that era. And this was the Romantic period in American literature, the 1800s to the 1850. But here is a little quarrel. The squirrel having a fight with the mountain, and the mountain calling the squirrel little prig, rather contemptuously, disparagingly, scornfully, with disdain, and calling him worthless. So the squirrel took offense to that, and he said, "It's no disgrace to occupy my place. I'm not as large as you. You are not as small as I, and not half so spry. Spry meaning active, agile." But the squirrel had words of wisdom, and he said, "Talents differ. All is well and wisely put. If I cannot carry a forest on my back, neither can you crack a nut." So what I'm trying to say here, that all of us are supremely talented, and we have a place, whether we belong in are from the field of humanities and sciences. So from a biology standpoint, I presented the classification. Squirrels belong to the rodent. Contrary to what you may think, they actually belong to the rat family, mammals, and the family is Sciuridae. So look here, we've turned, and possibly you see the mountains, a facet of science called geology. So it really behooves ourselves to be holistically educated. If we have that kind of knowledge, then we can fit in with the tech people, with anyone. And I've turned to literature, and I have shown you biology, and as well as the arts and sciences. So it just goes to show that there's so much potential in holistic education, and you being a large portion of the audience being in this field of science and humanities, it's something wonderful that you are privileged and proud to be part of. So the strategy is to move ahead in academic and professional life with the turning tide, with the subtle re-emergence of the arts and sciences, is something really, one has to be proud and privileged about. And by the way, I just remembered that the little fable or poetry that I quoted was something that I learned in SFS school when I was in the 5th standard. But it's, talents differ, all is well and wisely put, stands the test of time, and is relevant even today. So coming back to what strategies will move us ahead, it is that we must develop an insatiable curiosity for learning and knowledge, an unquenchable thirst. No matter who you are, the opportunities for learning are tremendous, and more so in this world. So master the nuances and intricacies of language or the discipline that you are in. I use a phrase that we use in the United States very often: be comfortable in your own skin. What that means is exude the confidence from a clear understanding of oneself, one's abilities, and especially when presenting oneself or interacting with other people. I show a little visual down, continuous learning, and you can see it. There's a gamut of different learning tools: the old-fashioned pencil, paper, little slate, and there's the smartphone there. So everything is possible. And in terms of the different kinds of learning, the genres of whether it's literature or whatever else, and what is a genre? I've taken that from a dictionary, which gives you pronunciation. Merriam-Webster's dictionary gives you the meaning, the pronunciation. So it's a category of artistic, musical, or literary composition characterized by a particular style, form, or content. I like the word genre because being a professional musician, been there, done that, it's wonderful to be knowledgeable of different forms, whether it's classical, whether it is popular jazz, and so on. But the idea is that if we develop that insatiable curiosity for learning, and we're able to display that in our projects, doesn't matter whether we are interacting with the computer and the tech experts, there's a place for humanities and sciences. It's what we make of that space and place. So I turn to Dr. Tommy White to tell us about what is happening in LinkedIn from a LinkedIn study. Dr. White, please.
Oh, yes. LinkedIn conducted a study in 2019 about soft skills, or more important than the hard skills. And out of that study, 57% of senior leaders today found the following 5 categories. Creativity, employees who can dream big and develop the solutions of tomorrow now.
So what you've said is one doesn't need necessarily to have all the knowledge in the world, but you dream big, you have the level of knowledge, and you can do big things. Okay, next.
Next point, persuasion. Great product, platform, or concept. Key is persuading people to buy.
Well, if you are not articulate, if you cannot convince people, then you need to develop that skill. And the arts and the sciences provide you the perfect platform to do so. And you can find yourself in different marketing projects with those kind of skills. Okay.
Collaboration. Projects grow increasingly more complex and global in the age of artificial intelligence, or AI. Effective collaboration only grows more important.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Dr. White. We have seen, in fact, in March of this year, Dr. White, myself, and Mr. Kisti, we presented on collaboration in a changing world, especially with the pandemic. So, again, no matter what project you do, learn to collaborate, and there's much that you can offer with the disciplines of humanities and science.
Adaptability, critical for today's ever-changing world. Yesterday's solutions won't solve tomorrow's problem.
So the key is flexibility, adaptability. We've seen organizations adapt today, work from home, and so on. And that is true about ourselves personally. We have to adapt. And the more knowledge you have, the easier it is to adapt, because you are aware of changing surroundings and so on. And point number 5.
Time management. Since time immemorial, mastering time management today will serve you the rest of your career.
Yeah, as somebody once said, you cannot bring back time. So it is key to prioritize, to plan, to be that, have that discipline. And now you have all the tools. The tools I mention or think about is In your smartphone, you can set alerts, you can set reminders. So time management is easier than ever before, but it just takes that dedication, and we all have it. It just needs to be developed more. So we looked at the soft skills. Dr. White enumerated those, and we discussed them. The hard skills, what do companies need most? Again, from this LinkedIn study, what is spiking, what is the current rage is artificial intelligence, cloud computing, podcasts and all that. But there are opportunities for science and humanities and creativity to producing those podcasts, writing those stories, creating those digital ads. So I think one should really look at the importance of humanities in a world that is changing, and it is time for to change gears, shift direction, and it is up to each of us to be there at the forefront of change, on the leading edge of change, and ahead of the curve. So, for example, total quality management is something that you learn in a management degree, and it was pioneered by a person called Edward Deming in the 1940s, early 50s. Deming was an American who went to Japan after Japan emerged from the Hiroshima and Nagasaki of World War II. And he taught the Japanese the importance of get it right the first time, every time. And you've seen what that did to them. Kawasaki, Honda, and so on, and all those Japanese companies that changed the world because everything was on quality. But so in artificial intelligence, for example, those experts will know how to do feature extraction, analyze the data. But who's going to write up this data or the findings? It is people from humanities who have a role here, people from art sciences. You understand basic concepts of the data and get it from those technical experts. But when it comes to presenting it, writing it up, as Dr. Abdullah said, it is possibly you who are the best equipped to present it to the world. So if you look at total quality management and artificial intelligence and what those findings are, how would you present it? You would present it in the form of recommendations that are actionable, that are ranked in order of importance, they are prioritized, implementable with specific timelines, and writing. So the writing is done by who? It is going to be done by the person with the writing skills, the person who has the training, and that's arts, humanities, and sciences. So develop those skills, and you can complement the technical wizard in their work because they may not have those kind of writing skills. Dr. Abdullah, would you agree with that?
Definitely. And not only the writing, because let's say for this study or the research by LinkedIn, if you just say the pandemic has caused the economy 5 million jobs, a humanity or science graduate will not only focus on the factor of pandemic, they can look at other factors that exist before the pandemic as well. So they have like a broader insights, and they think like when we talked earlier about critical thinking, they can bring what caused by the pandemic, what caused by other factors as well. So to confirm your point, they have more skills and people's skills as well to understand the in and out of every problem and present it in a way to give each factor its portion. They cannot just put everything in one plate if it is not. So definitely that's right.
Excellent. Yeah, exactly. So the skills of humanities, the qualities, the knowledge that these disciplines bring to the table are immense, but it is up to these graduates and people from these fields to have that self-belief that they are indeed wonderful contributors. So, just to make everybody understand, there's so much knowledge out there. We know what the humanities are: language, philosophy, literature, art, history, and so on. And typically modern science is divided into three branches: the natural sciences, biology, chemistry, physics, social sciences, the formal sciences. Somebody in 2 days or 3 days ago asked me, I'm having trouble with pronouncing psychology, and they kept saying psychology. So I said, no. I said, one way is to break it up, and psych, all, OG. So whether it is zoo, all, use the word all, OG, and rather than zoology. So we had a little workshop, and the other thing that happened in that discussion, it was just about 4 or 5 days ago, was where do these words come from? And in that workshop, we came to the understanding that to advance learning, if you try and get into the root of things, there's a deeper understanding. That knowledge gets kind of in your bank, in the repositories of your mind, in the vaults of your mind, in the personal repertoire of your own knowledge. So etymology is derived from the Latin word scientia, which means knowledge. And when you understand where the word comes from, automatically you kind of immerse yourself in understanding. That reinforces, it embeds knowledge in permanent memory. So interesting things. Juggernaut, used very widely in English. If you see where this word has come from, it is actually a word from Hindi, or from previous years. It was found by a British scholar in the 1200s that he was very impressed with the image of God Vishnu, Jagannath, and through the procession that took place. So it was so massive, and that he was impressed, and that word now has evolved into Juggernaut. So you can see, when you study etymology, the origin of words, from where they have come, it embeds your own knowledge. And so the humanities and science are beautiful science. And once again, they can complement the tech kind of aspects of things in the world. So once again, the world is reawakening to the creative value of humanities and science. We've seen the reports from LinkedIn, and that is in many other such reports, and that is even the purpose of this conference. So dispel those fake notions that innovation and creativity is the exclusive domain, the exclusive preserve, the birthright of science, technology, and mathematics only. No, you can be very much a part of this creativity that's going on in this world. Abandon those cliches. Look at the word, the accent on the E, like resume, cliche. The old held beliefs was that they dissuaded you from trying to dabble in many different disciplines. Jack of all trades and master of none was a common thing our elders told us. But no, you can be a jack of all trades and master of quite a few. So acquire knowledge, and believe in yourself. Be that creative spark. Let that creative spark within you be a flame. And once you have that knowledge, then I would agree with Albert Einstein that imagination is more important than knowledge. So we would be really encouraged to get that level of knowledge that would help us to use our imaginations vividly and be that spark to galvanize things. Any thoughts on that, Dr. Abdullah?
It is interesting. In the Arab world, they call it a cliche. So So they made it Arabic word as well.
So that's that.
But they put it exactly in the same context.
Okay. So that is
Yeah.
etymology of cliche. It shows that, we all emerged, and language is a unifying bond. So in the Arab world, cliche is there, and who knows, the word may have come from there, or it could have come from other sources. But that's an interesting thought.
Yep.
Yeah. So now what we want to do as University Go Global, we are in partnership with SFS College to try and help things. We want to develop incubators. We may want to make this a marketplace of ideas. It doesn't matter whether you are from biology, from science, from chemistry. Let us collaborate. We want to set up kind of at least one incubator. We'll talk to Dr. Thomas and His Grace Archbishop Elias. Meanwhile, University Go Global will involve ourselves in academic scholarship, help students in research, in writing, in developing the art and science of publication that Dr. Tavares spoke about. So the plans for University Go Global is to really support SFS students. We want to infuse innovation and world-class education standards. We want to facilitate SFS partnerships with Indian, US, Canadian, and African education institutions. You see, we have led a very large conference in Africa barely 10 days ago, and we brought universities and students in Africa from many different countries, and including the United States, Europe, and of course, India. So that because when we talk about diversity, which Dr. Tavares has talked about so eloquently, it means interacting with the cosmic world, or the world of, the different continents. So we want to assist in student success, academic scholarship, publications, provide the kind of guidance, the tools. We have a journal. We have also an ISBN publication facility, and we would, work towards developing those qualities, those standards. We will also hold seminars on if you want to study abroad, if you want to engage in higher education. University Go Global will be doing all that. We have a director in Nagpur, a very eminent marketer, Mr. Pradeep Chowda, who will be meeting with Dr. Thomas and will be discussing this further. So the opportunities that University Go Global are going to be immense. And we are very proud of our association with SFS College and universities around the world. Recently, amongst our many accomplishments, is that an eminent physician from Nagpur has developed a world-class incubator, not an incubator, rather, a device, a ventilator. And the value of ventilators in the pandemic and saving lives. So we have displayed the knowledge to, from our team to kind of help market this product worldwide. We are on the cusp of getting worldwide marketing rights. So University Go Global is quite a versatile team. And, we would encourage your reaction, your interaction with us, and there's going to be opportunities for everybody. So we want to facilitate that. So that's one accomplishment. The other accomplishment was that, the University Grants Commission in India is now turning towards holistic education, like exactly what we have talked about. So this physician asked me, he says, you know a lot about the FDA, and I said I don't know a lot, but because the FDA is always evolving, but I do have a master's degree in clinical research. Can you design a course on in regulatory affairs? I said sure, because I have written courses for the University of Liverpool in the UK on many different subjects. and I received an award as outstanding faculty in the UK some 10, 12 years ago, and they invited me there. And I'm more interested in the award was the Beatles Museum next door, which being a musician, that was kind of more impressive to me. But nevertheless, I received the award. So among our accomplishments is that we have offered to develop a Master of Science in Regulatory Affairs. We can and other kind of domains that we are interested in, and we will be bringing knowledge in, hopefully if this gets passed and commissioned, then in drug development and marketing, in the approval of devices and drugs. And we will be designing a cutting edge course on global regulatory affairs. So we will keep abreast of the evolving and the global changing nature of clinical research, trials, and so on. Everything involves money. So hopefully we will get the sponsors from the largest pharmaceutical companies, medical device companies. I've thrown out a few names. Those are the big names: Cadila, Ranbaxy, Pfizer, of course, International, Coca-Cola. And the UGC is promoting multidisciplinary coursework. So that is something. So that brings to an end our presentation. It is basically on the potential and belief that companies need most in 2019. And we've talked about how to learn and develop them. So thank you very much for the wonderful opportunity to give us the time, that your precious time to present. We once again like to thank the host, the anchor, Sonika Hilson, Father Praveen, Archbishop Elias Gonsalves, and of course, not least but you, the distinguished audience, students, faculty, and anybody else that listens in. So you're going to be involved, engaged. Thank you very much once again on behalf of University Go Global. And we have another organization called US Go Global, which is the commercial end of things. The academic is University Go Global, and the commercial is US Go Global. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. It was indeed a dynamic session. The key areas that you did touch upon were really engrossing and learning from. Truly, we need to develop an insatiable curiosity for learning and knowledge, as you rightly said. But at the same time, we need to be comfortable in our own skin. And you did mention the different soft skills and the hard skills as well, which a person needs to learn and to improve upon. And at the same time, one of the cliched sentences that you did mention was jack of all trades and master of none. And of course, it has evolved, and today people are strongly believing in jack of all trades and master of many, if not all trades. So that was really a unique thing that you spoke upon. And of course, pronunciations that you gave, that you cited, very simple, but then very accurate pronunciations, which are so basic, but then the students need to learn that as well. So thank you, sir, for mentioning your accomplishments. And it's really great that, the plans that you gave, we'll really look forward to the plans that you have for the association of SFS College, the students of SFS College with University Go Global. So thank you so much to all our scholarly speakers for such a wonderful session. I would now like to keep the platform open for our participants. In case they have any queries, they can ask our speakers. And at the same time, I'm extremely sorry. I got carried away with the first session that was conducted by Dr. Tavares, and I forgot to request the participants to ask questions to Dr. Tavares. So I think He is still with us. We have a first speaker as well as the second session speaker. So in case you have questions, you can unmute yourselves and ask.
Sure, indeed. It's a pleasure to respond to any questions. Throw them at us and we will respond.
So a question has come up in the chat box. It says, which is important, educational knowledge or empathy and EQ? I think emotional quotient, if I'm not wrong.
Who is the question for?
Mr. Nagarajan has put it up.
No, is it for Dr. Tavares or is it for us? For us.
Can Mr.
Okay.
Nagarajan be more specific, please?
Well, let me take the kind of stab at it, and I think emotional intelligence is increasingly being realized as a wonderful aspect of management. Because today, if without understanding of your employees, of your people, productivity goes down, morale goes down, and a more satisfied workplace can come with empathy. So I think it's not one versus the other, but a synthesis, a blend, a combination of how in a managerial setting somebody uses that. But from an employee standpoint, an employee must also kind of develop those skills to work with others in the workplace. So teamwork is very much a part of everything, and the empathy and skills, the soft skills, as we found out in our presentation, are more important than some of the hard skills, or equally important, felt by at least 57%. So that answers the question.
Sir, thanks, sir. At the same time, I want to ask one thing, sir. The yesterday generation education and present generation education, their molding of characters of the individual, that can be kindly explained, sir, please.
Dr. Tavares, would you want to do that?
Sir, your mic is mute.
Unmute.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Nagarajan, could you repeat it for me, just to get it more clearly?
Sir, definitely, sir. Sir, yesterday generation's education and present generation education, the molding of character.
Okay.
That can be explained, sir, please.
Okay, I would like to link it also with someone, just to add on a bit to what Dr. D'Souza has mentioned. I think we belong to a world where we no longer just look at IQs. Today, IQ is more like MQ, mental quotient. And mental quotient is about the clarity of vision you have. I would put it as another thing like PQ, the physical quotient, wherein you are able to be sensitive to the needs of the world. You are able to empathize. You are able to connect your values to the needs of the world. That's where your discipline comes in, and that's PQ. Okay, PQ is your excellence in this discipline of empathizing. EQ is the passion that you have. Today, EQ is about passion, that you love doing what you do and you do what you love. And when you have passion, you survive and you go beyond expectations. And SQ, as a priest, I would also like to talk about SQ, because that's where your inspiration comes. If you're connected within, you have time alone with the alone and you find inspiration. And when all these four things connect, clarity of vision, empathy and discipline of being sensitive to the needs of the world, your passion for life and for the work you do, and inspiration that comes from within, then I think it's not a character any longer. Character is, I think, a bit too much of a moral thing that we fabricated. It's for individuality as a gift to the world. You are born as a gift. You don't need actually any religion or anything to give you that value. Religion is to only enhance you in your searching for your real value. It's just a guiding reference. Ultimately, each one, as an individual, develops, our parents give us to our teachers so that we learn manners, we learn what is right, what is good, guidance, mentorship. And then finally, I discover it for myself, my value in the world. And I make the world more valuable. So, so I wouldn't want to put that, I don't like so much that word character, but then we start moralizing. This is good, this is wrong, this is right, and we become judges of everybody. I don't think judgments have, that sort of a judgment only puts us in conflict. Everyone is born right to make the right difference in the world.
Sir, at
I
the
hope
same time,
I'm able to answer something of what you asked, Nagarajan.
okay, thanks, sir. But at the same time, the selfishness and selfishness. Yesterday generation mainly concentrated on discipline and spirituality based materialism. But present generation is mainly
Yeah, but the point is,
based on the selfish
it is the
materialism.
yesterday's generation that are the presents and leaders of the present generation. So when I point my fingers at the present generation, that means something of the yesterday's generation that we call ourselves are not playing a role, right? The yesterday's generation are we today, who are leaders of the present generation. So I think we need to just remember that let's stop impressing our children, impressing. We are living in an advertising world. I want to advertise myself as somebody. Doesn't make any sense and doesn't make any difference to the world. Let me be my true self and I inspire the world. I think that's where it is. And therefore, this even conflicts with our children today, that they have no values, that, they are too much on the mobile. It doesn't reflect any bankruptcy of values on their side. It actually reflects the bankruptcy of values from our side. Maybe it's not about bankruptcy either. I don't know. I mean, Dr. Lionel will be able to spell it out better with his experience. There is a bit of a misunderstanding at either end. We need to be in harmony. Yesterday generation is even they had their value systems, they had their problems. We are also having our values and our problems. We have to look at solutions as they put up so beautifully in their presentation. Yesterday's solutions cannot be solutions for tomorrow's problems. We have to create solutions with our individualities. We need to believe we are creative. And that's why I'm so happy that Dr. D'Souza through Go Global are empowering the college to be creative from within. Today we belong to the world of entrepreneurship. We need peace leadership. We need visionary entrepreneurship. These are the values of today. Not about you are good, you are bad. I think that language doesn't put us anywhere.
Sir, education main concentration is to create the good characters and good qualities.
Yeah, I understand, but how do you define character? How do you define a character? Can you help me with what is good character? Besides being a good English word, what is that character? Are you born with a character or you are born with an individuality?
Sir, our character is molded by our surroundings.
Yeah, so that means you want something from outside to shape you. And suppose you are just born to be different. You don't fit into any of those molds and training. So are you a mistake in the world? No, what I'm trying to say, Nagarajan, is basically as elders, we have a role to guide, to discover. We have to discover what is best in our children. And even if that child is not showing conforming to our value system doesn't mean he's a difficult child. He has come with his own set of values. This is what I believe. We have to accompany them, and maybe Dr. D'Souza can help me better.
Okay, sir. So we have to keep with the Jones. Okay.
Yeah, well, we are open to all that the spheres of influence that shape our lives. We have to be open and receptive to different ideas, have our own moral compass also as well. And I think that shapes who we are. But at the same time, we also have the responsibility to give back. So what we develop as individuals, we shape the lives of others. And I think Dr. Tavares has beautifully said that in his presentation, that it is the onus, the responsibility is on us to give back, to shape those diverse communities, whether they are the aspiring, the underserved, the deserving. So there's indeed a role for us to play, and hopefully we can play that as educators. But no matter who we are educators even at a personal level, and depends on how we shape and influence. So any other questions? Next question, any?
Okay, thanks a lot, sir.
Sure, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
And I think, these kind of engagements, we are doing what's known as a Socratic, the old Greek sage, Socrates. You look at perspectives there are no right and wrong answers to anything, as in life. But when we engage in this level of discussion, it really elevates our own line of thinking. We are open and receptive to new ideas. We also disseminate them and possibly influence. But it's a continuous learning process. So, yeah, would say that much.
Okay, so I guess if no other questions are coming, we would like to continue and sum it up. Like, as Dr. Tavares truly mentioned, the crux of the situation or the underlying statement is that we need to be true to ourselves. And what Dr. Lionel said, that we also need to be open and receptive as well. So thank you so much, our respected distinguished guests, for answering the questions with such ease and expertise. And each and every one of you had an accurate and precise expertise to share. Your in-depth knowledge and plethora of experience speaks volumes about your rich inheritance, and that is a heritage to carry. So I'm sure our participants have grasped exceedingly and beyond expectations, are truly and definitely satisfied. So thank you once again. We have now come to the end of today's session, and we can truly sum it up as a successful end to the day one of this 4-day international conference and symposium. So I would like to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of the management and principal, Dr. Katie Thomas of St. Francis de Sales College, Nagpur, University Go Global, and the organizing committee. I express my sincere gratitude to our chief guest of the day, His Grace, Most Reverend Elias Gonzalez, for his words of encouragement and motivation. I would also like to thank our learned scholars for sparing their valuable time from their busy schedule to be with us and for sharing their expertise. Thank you to all the participants for being such wonderful and patient listeners. We will meet again tomorrow for another interactive session at the same time, that is 6 p.m. IST, for another day of learning and sharing information and knowledge with each other. Till then, stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you once again.
I can't hear Sonika. Hello.
Hello. Yes, Father. Were you not able